everyone, PushingUpRoses here, and today I want to tell you about a game I played recently that deserves way more attention. It was initially released in 2018, then a couple years later, full voice was added, and it was also released for the Switch. It's called Jenny LeClue Detective.
Jenny LeClue.
I haven't had time to devour two longer adventure games, especially because I decided to just randomly become a professional abstract artist during the pandemic, as you do. But this darling indie game developed by Mography caught my eye with its gorgeous artwork and intriguing story. Writing a mystery game in the style of a choose-your-own-adventure is not easy. It takes a lot of structure, character development, and world building, and I was pleasantly surprised when this game exhibited all of those things nearly flawlessly. As you all know, I love a good murder mystery, and I'm very analytical when it comes to how well they're written and what kind of mechanics are presented in the video game format. Sometimes I'm disappointed, sometimes expectations are met only by a smidge, and sometimes I find something exceptional that I want to share, and the latter is exactly how I feel about this title. I do want to make it clear that Jenny LeClue is a very positively rated game. I just can't believe it hasn't spread even further out to mystery enthusiasts and adventure game connoisseurs. And even if you are neither of those things, I still think you could find enjoyment in it. Let's dive in. When I first saw this game going around the internet, I thought it was going to be akin to a Nancy Drew style story with mechanics similar to Night in the Woods. I was half right. The titular character does remind me of Nancy Drew, a younger person solving mysteries in a strange little town full of peculiar characters. And the gameplay is similar to Night in the Woods and a handful of other indie adventure games that go for a more casual style of side-scroller. There's minimal action, but you still feel like you're experiencing a grand adventure and getting from place to place using various modes of transportation, including falling. A lot. What I was wrong about is that this game does not stay lighthearted and offers the player a personal character building design which is determined by your choices and dialogue. At first glance, it does play like a game for adolescents. You start off by solving silly little cases and seeing how Jenny solves them using logic and reason. I was surprised by how deep the story actually gets, and frankly, how gorgeous and expressive it is. The story is about Jenny LeClue, a young, mischievous little girl who wants to be a great detective like her mother. She gets into a serious, life-threatening situation when her mother is accused of murder. She takes it upon herself to save her and unveil the secrets of Arthurton, a small, unassuming town that has a restaurant called Agatha Krusty's. What I didn't realize when I first booted up this game was there was a bigger window around Jenny. She is the creation of author Arthur K. Finkelstein, who has been writing the LeClue books for a long time. Recently, his publisher has been bored with his overly saccharine books and pushes him to write something more dramatic. Up until now, there has never been a murder in any of the Jenny LeClue books, and now Finkelstein finds himself at odds with his values, his morals, and his comfort zone as he tries to write something that will revitalize his beloved franchise.
You want me to turn Jenny's world upside down? Kill off my characters and destroy everything I've built over the last 30 years?
He narrates the book as he writes it, often interacting with Jenny.
Aha! Precisely what I was hoping to find.
It was?
I'll cut the power and continue my investigation.
But Jenny knew better than to play with electricity.
So she left it alone.
This is one of the few games in a choose-your-own-adventure game style that actually makes me feel like I'm being read a book. In fact, it made me want to read a book because it was written in such a literary way. It made me feel like I was involved with the writing process and getting into the head of a writer who is trying to do something different despite it being scary. I found myself relating a lot to this character. The game expressed his pain and apprehension very well, though I can't say I managed my pain by eating a giant jar of jam. Ooh, alliteration. Arthur does end up writing a murder for Jenny to solve, and he is instantly regretting it, but he presses on, the game becoming less lighthearted and more real. Arthur's pain leaks into his character, as she realizes that murder mystery is not all fun and games.
Who lay under that curtain? Who had breathed their last breath?
I mean, it could be an escaped lunatic from the asylum. Or an axe-wielding maniac on the run from the cops. It could be...
It could be...
Mom? Oh no. Please, no.
She was written to solve lighthearted problems, like finding someone's glasses or helping people out with simple problems, and now she has to contend with reality. Instead of just glossing over the fact that a small child has now found a dead body, the game really states that Jenny is sad and frightened.
Jenny had longed for an adventure, for a real case to solve.
I didn't expect it to be like this.
The story does a great job at balancing the lighter parts, the clever nature of the characters, and Jenny's personality with bigger things like change and fear. It's like the writer and the character are experiencing a coming-of-age type of thing, and I was really impressed with the level of maturity I felt from it. The beautiful animation pushes the more mature parts even further. These are some of the most expressive characters I've seen in a long time. Despite their unrealistic designs, these characters are always moving in realistic ways. Smiling, eyes watering, Jenny pushing up her glasses, and I know what you're thinking, but Roses, these all sound so rudimentary, but they're so well done. These cartoony characters didn't need to have so many human elements to them, but they do, and I can tell you that so much thought and detail went into their creation. Because they are fairly fleshed out, you get attached to them, and you want to see Jenny interact with them and grow as a person. For example, her cousin, Susie, is more bubbly than what Jenny likes, but they discover they can be friends and that Jenny had been too judgmental. See, Jenny is definitely a cool girl at the start of the game. She believes other girls like her cousin are too frilly and annoying. As the story progresses, Jenny realizes she had been too harsh and finds an ally in her pink teddy bear loving cousin, and Susie becomes an extremely likable, hilarious character in her own right. The voice acting is especially good. Something adventure games struggle with is keeping long sections of dialogue interesting. I find that some can stand to be more terse.
No, no, no! Never move the victim!
Mrs. Leclue, she's doing it again.
Jenny Leclue, you are a dead body. Dead bodies don't talk.
This game doesn't drone on for long periods of time, and the voice acting is so good it feels natural. I enjoyed listening to it.
The students need to think for themselves, Jenny. That's why they're here at Gumboldt. To learn.
I just figured we all had places to go. Speaking of which...
And where are you off to, young lady?
I'm a dead body mom, remember? Dead bodies don't tell.
The dialogue has a great sarcastic comedy style that doesn't get weary. Even though the story did become serious, the characters remained pretty humorous and delightful, especially Jenny, who is a snarky, intelligent little rule breaker. She is often very judgmental and has to rethink her behaviors and actions throughout the game, but she's adorable. I found her very entertaining as the main character. As for the gameplay, I found it pleasant, though I did have moments of feeling bored. The puzzles are varied. When you're solving cases, you have to use clues you found to make deductions. Some are easy, some might require more thought. There are also logic, clicker, and hidden object puzzles, plus some light platforming. It does not get terribly difficult. I was never stuck for very long during the few times I did get stuck. There's a lot of trekking across the settings, which can be a little tedious. There are times when Jenny will work out something in her mind, like how to solve a puzzle without our help, and we have to carry out those puzzles by walking or jumping places, and I did think that got a little tiring. I wish we had done more of the manual puzzle solving, though I don't mind that this was more relaxed. I need relaxing games. I don't have time for much else, and the laid-back gameplay allowed me to focus more on the story. It's really a minor nitpick in the grand scheme of things, and even when I was doing long bouts of running, climbing, walking, the game does try to be a little more visually stimulating with wide zooms and cool looking transitions. And I can't express enough how gorgeous and detailed the game is. Every background is lovely and the music is appropriate. I wouldn't say it stands out, but if I'm being honest, when I'm playing a more literary game, I don't need a grandiose soundtrack, I just need something complimentary. There are dialogue choices for Jenny, and even though they don't seriously change how the game will end or even what happens during, it does change your personality and dynamics with the other characters. In my playthrough, I got the protector personality based on my choices. Damn fucking right I'm saving some baby ducks. But there are several more you can try to get, and if you finish the game, Scene Select becomes an option and you can bounce around trying out different things. There's also a collectathon aspect, which does seem a little childish, but I could not get enough of collecting every sticker and every postcard piece. I am very serious about collecting things. One last nitpick I'd like to add is the story can get convoluted, and it does end on a bit of a cliffhanger because there is definitely a sequel planned. I'm not fond of that decision personally. I like my games to have a finite ending, especially when I worked so hard to uncover all the secrets and have gathered up so many clues. It's a little unsatisfying to not be rewarded with a grand conclusion. There are also a lot of loose ends, but again, they could come back in a sequel. I think that is one of the biggest challenges when writing a mystery in general, is tying up any loose ends. So many murder mysteries end up overloading you with information that it doesn't go anywhere. And while some of that can be amusing, I found that Jenny LeClue had more egregious loose ends that I was frustrated at when they didn't get resolved. But overall, you must be able to tell by now that I was very impressed with this game. I think it can also have a wide audience. Kids can play this game, and I think they will be delighted in the easier mechanics, humor, and characters, and I think adults can enjoy it too for its meta commentary and deeper themes. Even if you still think this game looks too childish for you, I do want to say that it's okay to revisit things for young adults, especially if you're an artist or a writer or a game dev. You never know where you're going to find inspiration and ideas for your own projects, and if that comes from media more targeted for young adults, there's nothing wrong with that. I do hope you give the game a chance, show it to people who may enjoy it, or snuggle up on the couch with a cup of hot chocolate yourself and enjoy a cozy evening. And one more thing before I go, there are crows. Lots of them. In a mystery game where tragic death occurs. Talk about a murder of crows! Yeah, okay. Thanks for listening, and until next time, happy gaming. Hey everyone, thanks for watching my video on Jenny LeClue. If you want to see more adventure game reviews, I have some suggestions, but first, I want to give a shout out to my amazing patrons. Thank you so much for supporting the show, and if you're bored or looking for something to do, why not consider becoming a patron yourself? Or not. Likes, shares, and comments also churn my butter, and they're free. If you want to watch more of my videos, here's a few recommendations. On the left, I have a hilarious review of the X-Files FMV game, and on the right, I have a review of a Goosebumps adventure game. Apparently, I am all about those licensed video games right now. Thanks again, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.